Simon, thank you very much for joining us today and for giving us some of your time. I know you must be very busy.
Yeah, I just managed to squeeze you in. Yeah, quite a hectic day so far, so only a pleasure.
While we're on that topic, how was quarantine so far?
It's been okay. I'm busy doing a law degree through the Open University in the UK, so I've got an assignment due for the 10th of Feb, which I'm trying to get completed. So it's given me something to do. So it hasn't been too bad. Obviously, confined to a room isn't ideal, but we've got an exercise bike and you find things to do. So I guess it's just one of the sacrifices in order for us to take part in the series.
Studying law must be quite an interesting thing for you. How did you come about that choice?
It's quite a funny story. I got myself into trouble when I was about 18 months out of school. Was kind of floating around, didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of studies. My brother's a doctor specializing in radiology, always been a really good student. I've always kind of been the black sheep, if you want to call it that. Always enjoyed my sports, never wanted to be in my room doing homework. I always wanted to be outside. My mom was a tennis coach, so always wanted to be on the tennis court playing tennis or cricket on the tennis court, whatever it may be. So didn't know what I wanted to do study-wise. Got myself into trouble with the law, and yeah, sort of found out through that it's quite an interesting field. And yeah, that's kind of how I stumbled into law.
Obviously, a lot of growth has taken place in the intervening years. Looking back, did you ever imagine cricket and law almost coming to a clash?
No, not really. You know, I've always aspired to be a professional cricketer and to play for South Africa since I can remember, since I was 2 or 3 years old when I picked up a cricket bat for the first time. So yeah, I've always understood that I've got my time in the sun in terms of my cricket career, and one day that's going to come to an end, and the sun's going to set, and I need to have something to fall back on in terms of my future family and, you know, the aspirations and dreams that I want to achieve in my life post cricket. The corporate world is something that I want to move into after cricket. I don't necessarily want to be too involved in cricket. I want to sort of break away and have a different identity and do something different. So that's kind of where the two sort of fall in. I'm fortunate enough to be playing professional cricket, and it gives me the time, if I use it wisely, to get a degree under my name and to have something to fall back on.
Brilliant. And have you thought of a speciality in the law that you might be pursuing at the end?
I think tax law is something that is super interesting. There's, you know, always loopholes, and no one really knows the exact sort of definitions and rules. So yeah, right now, probably something that I wouldn't mind looking at, but, you know, I've still got a way to go and things might change.
Brilliant stuff. That's some really interesting information about you, Simon. Tell us, we'll move on to the cricket side, but tell us how it felt to get that phone call once again from a convener of selectors just telling you that you've been selected once again for the Proteas men's team. How did that come about? Where were you? Just take us through that day.
Yeah, obviously coming back and playing, being allowed to play cricket in South Africa again. I've always said that I wanted to come back and create competition within South African cricket. I think it's healthy for our system. And yeah, so I've been with the Multiply Titans since the beginning of the season in October, and been just trying to keep my head down and focus as much as I can on that environment, obviously with the ultimate intention to get back into the international setup. But yeah, we've had a bit of an up and down season in the 4-day competition with the Titans, and yeah, we were on our way to Bloemfontein. We drove down, and on the way, I was sitting at the back of the combi, and I got a message from Victor and Patsang to say, listen, let me know when you get to Bloem so we can have a chat. And I was a little bit unsure. I'd spoken to him a few weeks earlier just about where I fit in and how I compete for a place in the team, and sort of how the whole selection thing is going to work. And so I thought he was calling me about that. And he did a pretty good job of keeping me in suspense. We chatted for about 10 minutes about the entire structure, how he sees me fitting in, etc., which was nice. It was a transparent conversation, exactly what I wanted. And then at the end of the conversation said to me, listen, you've been selected for the tour to New Zealand. Subs is injured and Georgia Linda is getting married. So it's opened up an opportunity for you, and you've been selected. So it was quite a surprise. And, you know, I was sitting in my hotel room in Bloemfontein, and yeah, it's a good feeling to be back in the mix and to be able to try and sort of use this opportunity as best as I can.
It's obviously come along a lot sooner than you would have expected. And a couple of things or a couple of people, players had to be unavailable. But when an opportunity like this arises, do you get really excited to step up and to give it your all? What are some of your objectives for this tour?
Yeah, I think one thing I've come to realize, getting a little bit older in terms of a cricketer and their career, is things change and happen very quickly. One day you could be sitting extremely frustrated and sort of not knowing where you are, and very quickly you could be back into a professional environment or in an international environment. And this opportunity has arisen because things have happened, but that's how sport works. There's injuries, there's certain things that sort of the whole dynamic and makeup of professional sports. So I'm under no illusion as to why I'm here and how I got the opportunity, but I am here now. And yeah, I've just got to try and show people what I'm about, what my brand is about. It's obviously been a long time since I've been involved in the setup. I think I've matured a lot, and I understand sort of what I need to do and how I need to go about it. I think if we're realistic, if you look at the Hagley Oval, it's probably the greenest and bounciest and quickest wickets in New Zealand. So the chances of us playing two spinners is sort of very low. So I've just got to make sure that, you know, I'm available if needed. If something was to happen, Kesh has done extremely well in his international career thus far. And yeah, I think I'm always going to be a supporting act to him, which I hope I can do to the best of my ability if the opportunity does arise where we need to play two spinners. But for this tour, it's just to try and sort of really work hard and to support the guys that who will be playing, and just to try and add value where I can, whether it be music in the change room, whether it be throwing balls, whether it be sort of pushing guys to sort of be better, whatever it may be. I'm just going to try and bring my character and my brand and what I'm all about.
Lovely. Tell us, what has time away or your time away from the environment taught you about yourself? How have you grown as a cricketer, grown as a human being? Just tell us a little bit about, you know, your time away and what kind of value you would be bringing into this environment now.
Yeah, I think obviously my initial taste of international cricket, like I said earlier, it was everything that I aspired to do and to be, was to play international cricket and to be an international cricketer. And reflecting on that, I think the mistake I made is I didn't sort of reassess my goals once I got there. I had this ultimate goal to play for South Africa, and my dream was to play for South Africa, and I achieved that. And once I'd achieved that, I didn't reassess. Okay, you've now achieved this goal. What's next? So it's one thing that I've done over the last sort of few years is to make sure that I've got goals for myself every year, things that I try and achieve. Some of them might be out of reach, but you know, things that I aspire to each year, which I think has helped me a lot. And then also realizing that you know, cricket isn't the be all and end all. There's a lot more to life. I'm obviously extremely lucky to be in the position that I am, being able to play cricket around the world. And it probably takes a little bit of pressure off myself. I think when I first made my debut and went to Bangladesh and to India, I was putting so much pressure on myself to perform and to be that person, and so worried about what everybody else thought of me and was I good enough, etc., etc. Whereas now I think I'm a lot more comfortable in my own skin. I understand what I'm good at and what I'm not so good at, and things that I can work on. And ultimately, if I put in the practice and the preparation, whatever happens on the field is meant to be. I think cricket's a performance-based sport, and there's going to be days where you do well, and there's going to be days where you don't do well. And sometimes those days that you don't do well is nothing, no fault of your own. It's just the way that cricket is. And I think as I've got older, I've sort of learned to realize that. And as long as I can be comfortable with my preparation and where I'm at, then the performances will look after themselves. So there's been a lot of lessons along the way, some of them hard lessons that I had to learn and things that you had to go through. But I'm obviously very aware that opportunities now are few and far between. And when those opportunities come, I need to make sure that I grab them.
It sounds like your time away has been quite maturity building for you. I don't know if that's the proper English term, but it looks like quite a lot of personal growth has taken place. And how important is it for a person to really have a keen sense of self and to be really self-aware in order for you to be able to grow as a cricketer?
Yeah, I think it's looking back, if you could impart knowledge on whether it be younger players or my younger self, that would probably be the one thing, is that self-awareness that you speak of, and understanding how certain things work, and things that you can control and things that you can't control. So yeah, it's been a process, like I said, but I'm a better person for it, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
On to the next question. Tell us, where is your previous test cap? Whatever happened to it?
So my previous test cap is in my bag, which is here in the room. I packed up all my... I'm very nostalgic in that way. So I've got all my caps that I've played with right through age group cricket. My brother and I have this pact that one day, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, we'll have a beach house somewhere, and the bar in that beach house is where all the memorabilia will go. So I've got all my South African stuff is in the bag that I was given when I made my debut, and so that's where my test cap lived. I wasn't sure if it was ever going to see the light of day again, but fortunately it has. So yeah, that was sitting in Kenton-on-Sea. So I got my mother-in-law to post it up to me in Pretoria, and yeah, it's made the trip over to New Zealand.
Brilliant. What were the emotions like when you had to pack, when you were packing that cap, and when you were packing up to come over to New Zealand?
Yeah, I don't know if every cricketer feels this way, but there's something special when you get your new kit for the season, whether it be for your domestic team or county team, or like this, getting an international call-up, and you get all of your kit. It arrives, South African badge on it. Obviously, things have changed since I last played. You now have your your name and number on the back of your shirt as well. So there's a hell of a lot of excitement. That cliche of feeling like a kid on Christmas, that's exactly how it is. You're opening up this bag, you don't know what's going to be in it. And you see all of your kit, your playing shirts, the warm-up kit. So yeah, it's a really, really special and exciting time to sort of get that kit and to be packing it all into a bag and getting ready for an overseas trip.
I know you didn't get a lot of time to hang around everybody and to necessarily be greeted or welcomed the way that we usually would, under normal circumstances. Everybody, we got to the airport, got onto the plane, and then had a short team meeting on the plane while we were refueling in Singapore. But so far, what has your impression of the environment been like?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Like you say, we had a brief period at the airport, but with COVID and all the restrictions, it's been quite difficult. Obviously played quite a bit of domestic cricket with a few of the guys and some representative cricket back in the day, if you want to call it that. So I know enough of the guys to feel comfortable, but obviously there's quite a few new faces that I need to make an effort to get to know a little bit better. But yeah, it's obviously from when I was last involved with the Proteas, it's a new squad, a lot of young guys, a lot of youth, which brings a new energy, and it feels really good. Obviously, an incredible series against India, backs against the wall. Nobody gave the boys a chance, and they just proved to everybody what they're about and what they're capable of. So yeah, extremely excited to sort of get out of this quarantine period and get amongst them and have some laughs and get to know everybody a little bit better.
And finally, what has this MIQ facility been like for you? If you can take people through a typical day, what is it today? Maybe day 3 of quarantine. What has a typical day been like for yourself?
So obviously trying to get rid of the jet lag aspect. I've been having a bit of a wobbly at about sort of 2 o'clock in the morning, where I wake up for half an hour and try and fall asleep again. I don't normally have an issue sleeping, so fall back asleep. Wake up at about 7:30. At 8 o'clock, you get a knock on your door. You've got your pre-ordered meals that arrive in a brown bag. And yeah, you have your breakfast in your room. Maybe you make yourself a cup of coffee. I've been doing my law assignments, so start with sort of reading and getting through all of that. And in the afternoons, we've got an exercise bike, so try and put in sort of half an hour to 40 minutes on the bike with some core and whatever else, some stretching. And then, yeah, back to the assignment. And then in the evenings, just look to sort of relax. I've been re-watching Chasing the Sun, obviously the story of the victorious 2019 campaign of the Springboks. So yeah, that's been quite inspiring. Bit of a tearjerker. It's a really well-made series and some amazing stories in that. So that's sort of been motivating me and getting me ready for when we get out of MIQ. But yeah, that's kind of sort of how it is at the moment. Put on a bit of music, just find ways to get through the day and keep yourself occupied. We're allowed now to sort of get out the room and go for a walk for a little bit. So try and get some fresh air, although the weather's been pretty disappointing. The sun sort of surfaced for a little bit today, but other than that, there's been a lot of rain. So yeah, that's pretty much a day in MIQ.
Thanks so much, Simon, for your time, and all the best for your assignment, and chat to you soon.
Cool. Thank you so much.